Hey guys, this is going to be my review on the Innovv cameras, the C2, the C3, and the C4. Now I am missing the C1, but it's basically a C2 without the wide angle lens. Internally it's the same, so it doesn't really make much of a difference. Now the C3 and C4 are both internally different, so it makes most sense to review at least the C3 and C4 against either the C1 or C2. With either the C1 or C2. So part 1 is mostly going to consist of the unboxing videos. Now I am changing my review format. I'm no longer going to have a first impressions unboxing video, so I am going to retread over the C4 unboxing, but I'm also going to include the unboxing from the C3 and cover what's included with the C2, which I never unboxed actually. So I did have some hardware issues, which is why I actually have an old unboxing of the C3, but I never uploaded it because I was waiting for a replacement. So I'm going to cover any of the hardware issues I have had, or any of the software firmware issues I've had, and part 2 is going to be mostly comparison of the video quality with a lot of clips from recordings, and then I'm going to give my final conclusion at the end of part 2. So first I'm going to show a quick walkthrough of what the difference is between all of the cameras. Now the buttons are the same on all 4 models, and they all have this switch on the side. On the right there's normal recording, in the middle there's looped recording, which is for dash cam recording, and then there's also a light on the front. So this has the wide angle lens. Like I said, the C1 has a lens that's internal, more like the C4, so it doesn't stick out. Now each camera is going to come with one of these holders. You can see on the bottom there's a standard tripod mount. It's very similar to the Mobius in design. It's a little more loose of a holder though compared to the Mobius holder. So there you can see power, mode, and shutter. Then on the back you have the micro SD card slot, which supports up to 32 gigs, and the USB port, which is actually a proprietary plug, which a lot of people aren't a fan of. So now the C3 was a pretty big departure from the C1 and C2. Functionally it's pretty much the same, but obviously you can see there's an HDMI port, a mini HDMI port in the front. So this actually uses a snake type camera lens, and I'll show that later in the unboxing portion of this camera. It also came with a much heavier duty holder with a clip. So this was designed with motorcyclers or cyclists in mind, so you could clip that inside of your jacket or whatever. Now the C4 is brand new and only sold through GearBest.com right now. It's pretty much like a C1. The back looks the same, except it's actually plastic. The reason it's plastic is this model actually has built-in Wi-Fi, and I will show that function later. The Wi-Fi is pretty convenient. And there you can see the lens is inside of the body as opposed to outside like the wide angle C2. Now there is no wide angle C4 currently, but it's wide enough. Now I wanted to quickly show the Mobius camera in case you haven't seen that. This came before any of the Innovvs, and it's a really dependable, popular camera. A lot of people use it as a dash camera, even though it is pretty much just an action camera with dash cam functionality. The main difference is the Innovv has a lot of special features, like it has an auto flip sensor, so if you flip it over it'll orient the video correctly. But it does have a mini USB port instead of the proprietary USB port like the Innovv cameras do, so a lot of people like that. So I never had an unboxing of the C2, but this is what comes with the C2. So like I said, every camera comes with the holder. There's going to be a video out cable which uses the same proprietary USB port. These cables are sort of hard to come by, so don't lose them if you buy one. This is a lanyard cable. A USB cable for connecting to your PC, so it is a data cable, as opposed to this, which is the dashcam cable. And I'm not sure if this still comes with every purchase of the C2, but at the time I got one, it did come with this, and this actually only sends power to the camera, so you can use it for dash cam functionality. So here you can actually see The C1 is on the box, but this is what the C2 will come in. Here you can see some specs on the back with what's included. The one thing I am actually missing though now is the Velcro strip. All of the Innovv cameras, similarly to the Mobius cameras, come with a Velcro strip.
So right off the bat, I do really like the fact that this box is much bigger, and just so you know, I have actually already opened this because my C2 came inside of this. I got them both from Rocket Innovv, so this isn't the standard retail packaging. I had to go in and take the stuff out that wouldn't have been in a retail package. I also took some of the stuff out of the plastic bags, so I just wanted to show what it will look like roughly if you do order this. So I have the wide angle version. So it'll come with this little plastic box with the actual camera inside, and that's the main unit. So the C2 and C1 would have a lens right there, but now C3 has a mini HDMI port. Everything else is pretty much the same. And the actual lens. So yeah, a lot of this stuff I already took out, but I am going to still go through it all. So this one is the 1.5 meter cable. So there's this wearable mounting solution. I did find it a little funny that right there it says police, so I'm not sure if this was some generic headset that is used for police in China or what, but I thought that was a little funny. So here's a handlebar mount. This one's a little different than most because you can actually remove this, but it isn't tiltable at all. It goes left or right, but that's about it. So on top of that, you can use this little piece, and I know they are selling this separate on the Innovv store, so you can get extras, but this is obviously for the remote lens. Here's just a data transfer cable. Or power cable. Now this is the microphone, and the microphone actually plugs into the same port as the power cable, so you can't use the microphone while it's plugged into the power cable or dash cam cable. Now it'll come with a dash cam cable, which is pretty much the same thing but thinner, and it is much longer obviously, but this only charges and powers the camera. You can't do data transfer with this. There is a video cable, a sticky mount, which I assume these slits are for some sort of helmet straps, some Velcro, another sticky mount. And I really like this because it is a lot smaller and discreet than the typical suction cup mount. Even the usual 3M sticky pad mounts are bigger than this, so this will be a lot nicer for having a discreet installation in your car. So then this actually came with two different clips. I believe you're only going to get this one in the retail package, and I really like this one because this is the standard one, and you can see it's pretty thin and basic, but this one is actually thicker. And that was one of my complaints about the first, or when I had the C2 earlier, is that it's so thin that if you got rear-ended or something, the camera could easily fly out of that. So this is a big improvement. I really like that they improved that. And you can remove this clip, use it as a standard holder.
So this is the same clip I showed in my unboxing of the C4. I'm going to show it again because, like I said, in the future I'm no longer going to have unboxing and first impressions videos. So there you can see it's the same audio video cable out that is included in the other camera packages. A data cable, and for some reason my C4 came with a second data cable. Now according to GearBest.com, it's supposed to come with one data cable and a lanyard, but mine did not come with a lanyard, and other users on dashcamtalk.com also said theirs came with two USB cables or data transfer cables and no lanyard, so I'm not sure what the deal was with that. But here you can see the manual. It's a little different than the C2 and C3 manual. Actually, the C3 doesn't come with a manual from what I remember. It actually just came with something inside the box that was glued to the bottom that showed how to use it. Now here you can see the package includes those listed items just like the C2, but like I said, mine didn't come with a neck strap. And it also lists some optional accessories. Now, the C4's instructions are a little different than the C2 or C3 or C1, mostly because of the Wi-Fi. But this actually covers all the main functions on how to start recording or power it up, how to turn on the webcam mode, which I've personally never used. The biggest issue with the C4 I've had is the fact that there's no GUI or GUI format utility yet for Windows. So you have to use this text file to customize the settings, and it's pretty limited.
So I quickly want to show the differences between the C1 through C3 functionality and the C4. So here you can see it shows the different LED lights and what they mean. So when you power it on, you hold the power button down for a few seconds and it should immediately start recording. Now this is the C4, but that function is the same. So it starts recording. For some reason the C4 blinks a lot faster. I don't know why that is. Now, if you want to switch the modes like 1080p to 720 or to the camera mode, you have to stop the recording and then you hit the mode button. And it's hard to see this camera, but now the main difference between the C1 through C3 is, as you can see when I hit the mode button, the fourth mode was the parking mode, which according to this, blue quick flashing is the motion detect mode. Here it's called parking mode, and in the first three models it flashes red and green. Now you can see once it senses some movement, it'll start recording. So it is somewhat of a useful feature if you want to record while your car is parked, but you do have to manually set to that each time. So there you can see it finished recording before and it sensed the movement. My main issue with the parking mode with the Innovv cameras and pretty much any of the cheaper Chinese cameras that are $150 or less is the fact that their motion recording mode isn't quick enough like the Korean models, but it could be useful. Depends on your specific uses. So overall, the cameras have the same functionality or the same colors. So if you want to pause it, you can take a look at this. Overall, like I said, they're very similar, other than the Wi-Fi on this camera. So I'll go over the Wi-Fi. So here you can see, to turn on the Wi-Fi mode, it's got to be in standby, and then you hold the mode button for 3 seconds. Then there'll be a solid blue LED. And then it also says install Icemark TV, so you can find that on the App Store. I believe it's on iOS and Android. I used it on Android myself, and I'll show a clip of that. But basically what it does is it lets you transfer files to your Android or iOS device wirelessly. So if you have this mounted in your car or whatever, you don't have to take it down or take the memory card out. It's a really convenient feature. So I'll show that real quick. So there you can see the Wi-Fi turned on, and now it's ready to be connected.
So here I'm loading the Icemark TV app. This is in my car right now, and this is actually a live feed from the C4. So again, this is only a feature of the C4. None of the previous models have Wi-Fi. You can see I stuck my hand in front of the camera, and my hand came back quicker than my hand left the image because there is a couple second delay. And there you can see I actually adjusted the camera to get a little bit less of the dashboard. And this is on the Android version. I'm using a Galaxy Tab 4 7-inch. Now here you can see some of the previous recorded clips. So say you saw an accident or something and you wanted to download the clip. For some reason it told me I can't view the clip, but I can actually download it to the device. Once you download it to your device, you can record it. I'm not sure if I'm just having issues with my Galaxy Tab, but either way, the main reason I like Wi-Fi functionality is the fact that I can download clips and back it up to an external device. So now you can see the file is located on my tablet's local storage, and now I can view the file. So this Wi-Fi feature of the C4 could be very useful after a car accident, because then you know you'll have a backup copy. So one of the issues I did have with the C3 and C4 is the fact that they seem to be a little longer and don't fit perfectly into the holders. Now this is the C2. The C2 has fit in every holder I've ever had. I have about 4 of them now. And here you can see this one, the C3, is just a little bit longer. My original C3 was actually quite a bit longer. And the C4 is even longer than that. You'll see when I try to put the C4 into a holder, it doesn't fit in as nicely as the C2. So the C2 fits nice and snug. I don't have to put too much pressure in it. The C3 also fits in pretty nicely, but like I said previously, the C3 that I originally had did not fit snugly. And now I'm having that issue with the C4. I haven't had any other people mention to me that they had this issue, but I've had multiple Innovv cameras now that have had this issue. You can see when I try to pop down one side, the other side pops out. And I've tried multiple different holders. Someone suggested to me that maybe the screws on the end panels aren't screwed in all the way. I've tried making sure that they're screwed in all the way. I've tried removing the end panels and reinstalling them, and that was not the case with my old C3 or the C4. It just seems like some of them are just a little bit longer, which sort of blows my mind. So like I said, the C3 that I have now fits fine. This clip is actually from when I got my original C3 and C2. Another thing I realized quickly is that the pin layout for the C3 is different than the other Innovv cameras, which is a little annoying because it's already a proprietary cable. So there you can see it powered on the C2, but when I plug it into the C3, nothing happens. It's because the C3 uses a different cable layout, and the instructions actually mention that the cable that comes with your Innovv camera will only work with that specific model. So if you buy a C3, the dashcam cable is not going to work with the C2. So that is worth noting. This isn't really a defect, just personally I think that's sort of a poor design issue, and I wish they would just use mini USB like the Mobius and have them all universal. Now another thing you may have noticed in this clip was the fact that the power button on my C2 was upside down. Like I said, this was my C2 and C3 that was sent to me last December, and they both actually had focusing issues. So I was able to correct the focus on the C2 by twisting the actual lens, but the C3 I wasn't able to fix because the external lens just doesn't work that way. But it was pretty funny to me that the power button was actually glued in upside down. And yes, they are actually just glued in. So based on the hardware alone, I really do like a lot of the ideas with these cameras. I do love the physical switch to switch between normal recording and looped recording. And I do really like the fact that there's several different options. Now, one thing that bothered me though was my C4 actually came scratched up. So those scratches there are exactly what it looked like when it came out of the box. One of the other features I really do like is the auto flip mode, where if you flip the camera upside down, it'll orient the picture right side up. So even if you're recording and have to flip the camera over, it'll orient itself and you don't have to stop the recording. It'll do that automatically, and I think that's a really cool feature. Now you may want to turn that off if you use the C3 though, because the sensor is inside the camera unit. So if you have your lens mounted on your helmet or your bike or wherever, and you flip the camera body over, it's going to make the video upside down. So I have mentioned in previous videos that one of my cameras died after the battery got too hot, and that was actually my original C2. So just like any other camera though, a battery sitting in your car when it's really hot outside can overheat, and eventually mine leaked acid and ruined the camera. It was basically unusable and I had to return that. So then I got the C2 and the C3 at the same time from Innovv, and these were for review, but the C2 and C3 both had unfocused lenses, and like I said, the power button was installed upside down, and the buttons are actually just glued in, so it sort of seems like there's a little bit of quality control issues going on, but like I said before, I haven't heard any other people mention having some of the issues I've had. One of the biggest issues I've had with my original C2 and now my C4 is the fact that once in a while it would just stop recording. Now I'm glad to say that my C2 now I've been running for a couple weeks and it's not once had an issue recording, and neither has the C3, but this time the C4 has been doing it. There were a couple days in a row where it stopped recording randomly once or twice a day. So if you're not keeping an eye on the record light, for all you know it might not even be recording or driving. There was a firmware update that was posted on dashcamtalk.com, but multiple users that used it said they couldn't use their C4 anymore. It apparently bricked their camera. So eventually there was actually a fix released, and in part 2 of the video I'll go over the fix. Also, I'm going to go over the video quality. The video quality in all three of them are very different, and the C3 and C2 with the GUI utility you can actually customize the video settings, but right now the C4 is pretty limited. So I'm going to go over those features and discuss the differences in video quality, and at the end of the video I'll also give a final opinion on what I think of all three cameras. So stay tuned and thanks for watching.